Alright guys, it's Charlie Tango 1994 back with another YouTube video. I'm going to do a slightly different review today, basically because I bought a rig recently and in the box was this KL203 amp, so I thought I'd do a quick review of it, just to talk through CB amps in general really, but I did a review of the KL203P, which is the equivalent one to this from RM in Italy, except that the previous one I'd done had the preamp on it. So the difference between this one and the 203P is the preamp. So what that means is the preamp is there to amplify the incoming signal. So what it should do is improve your receive, whereas an amplifier like the one we're looking at, like this KL203, adds additional power to your outband signal. So it means that you're transmitting with usually more than the legal 4 watts that you get with these old rigs. If you're new to this channel and would like to see more CB related videos, feel free to hit the subscribe button below and watch out for new videos uploaded every Wednesday. If you enjoy my videos, don't forget to hit the like button or leave me a note in the comments section. Also, if you're new to CB radio, watch this video through to the end to find out more about the free gift I offer to all of my subscribers. And amps are fairly widely used with the older rigs, like the ones we tend to look at on this channel, so the early 80s rigs. A lot of the more up-to-date rigs will push more power, certainly since the legalization of AM and sideband a couple of years back now. A lot of the newer rigs will run quite a lot of additional wattage, to be honest. Most of them I think will do 10 watts or 12 watts, certainly the standard for sideband. As some of them will do 20, 50 watts. I think I saw one recently that does 80 watts straight out of the box. So these little burners, they used to be a lot more widespread, I guess, in the 80s, because you added them in line, as I've done today, just to add some extra weight, and you know, they still do a job. Where they are particularly useful, obviously it's just about amplifying your outbound signal, but it tends to be that particularly if you're home base, you can struggle to get out a bit sometimes, and you might have other limitations like where your aerial is or your actual location itself, just not in a great spot. So sometimes adding a burner, adding an amplifier will, well, as it says, amplify the signal. So you do see them used quite a lot with home-based setups. Anyway, to talk you through it, similar to the RMKL203P, you've got basically the chassis itself. You've got this kind of venting on it, which is like a heat sink, like you come across with a computer processor. Helps to dissipate the heat that's generated when the amp is in use. So that's quite a standard feature. Most of the amps you look at have got this kind of this effect on them, just to be able to, as I say, to throw off the heat that gets generated. And then you really just need a patch cable. Do my best to show you in this dark little corner, but a patch cable that runs down to the CB itself, and the other end of that is your aerial. So basically what's happening as you transmit, the standard amount of wattage is coming out of the radio into the rig, which is powered separately, and we'll talk about that in a second, and then that goes out to to your antenna, which I've got out in the garden. So that's how you assemble it. And then there's really only 2 buttons on the front on this one. The 203P that we looked at, it's got another button on the side, and there's 3 settings for that: off, on, or preamp only. This is just an on-off switch, and then you've got it set to AM, and you can read FM for that as well, and or sideband. Well, not and or, either or. So AM or set to sideband. So one is about having a carrier wave, one is not. So it says on the box, and if you read up on them, should give you an additional 100 watts for AM FM, and an additional 200 watts for sideband. But that, I think, is pretty extravagant. I don't think that's the case, and I'm going to do a test in a minute with my new sort of power meter stroke aerial matcher, and just see what we do get out of it, or as best as I can calculate. So in a minute I'll rig that up. The other thing that's important to say with amps is that I am running them off 2 separate power supplies. This little guy is 12 volt. I think it gives 5 amps, 5 or 6 amps. There's just not going to be enough, and it isn't advised to try and run the amp and the rig from the same power supply. So I've got 2 power supplies. One is connected to the rig, the other one is connected to the amp, just to prevent any issues. What tends to happen when you do try and rig them up in that way is that the rig just powers off when you key up, or it doesn't work. So that's the best way to deal with it. All right, that basically is it. I can't really sort of tell you more about them. The thing now is to get the power meter out, get that connected in line, and let's see if we can get a reading out of it. All right, so I've had a bit of a jig around just to get the power meter on. Running now 2 patch cables, one between the rig and the amp, and then another one between the amp and the power meter or aerial matcher. Does a couple of things, and then obviously the aerial connected to the rear of the meter, so we can now test it. So without the radio on, without the amplifier on, if I key up, it goes just under 4 watts, and then if I switch the amp on, you'll notice a difference straight away. As soon as I key up, it goes off the scale. Now I've got two readings. That's set from 1 to 6 watts, I think it goes to. I can't quite make it out in this light. But if I switch it up to 50, we can get something like a measurement out of it. So if I'm reading that correctly, it's actually showing about 6.5. So that should be something like 65 watts if I'm reading that correctly. I've not had this meter for very long, and I'm struggling a bit with the amount of light actually, even though I've got a lamp on. But yeah, I'm kind of reading that as 6, maybe 7, so 60, maybe 70 watts. And it says, in the blurb it says 100 watts. So, this isn't laboratory conditions. I would be quite happy with that, I suppose. And it is actually quite a lot of weight to be, over and above your 4 watts. It is quite a lot of power to be pushing. So you do need to be careful with things like the swar on your aerial. As I mentioned, you should be running any amps off a dedicated power supply, and just be a bit more conscious when you're pushing a bit more power as to the capabilities of the equipment that you're using. All right, well, that's the to show you over here in the half light, the RM KL203 They are readily available. You can get them on Amazon and all sorts. So I might pop a link to it in the video description, so scroll down and have a look. And I'll catch you in another YouTube video soon. Cheers guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and as a thank you to you, particularly if you're new to CB Radio or returning to it after many years, I've put together a free information series called The Beginner's Guide to CB Radio, which I'm sharing with all of my subscribers. To find out more, click the link in the top right corner now.